Under God, indivisible, with liberty for all.
Roll call, please, Bill. Here. Frank Parker.
Here.
Roger Young.
Present.
Jim Snyder.
Present.
Michael Parsons.
Present.
Okay, and probably want to go ahead and introduce our.
Okay, yeah, we've got several people here. In person, we have Adam Hanks. He's the city administrator or manager, city manager for Gold Hill, and Ron Palmer, who is the mayor of Gold Hill. And on Zoom, we have Malia Bidscheid. Malia Bidscheid. And she's one of the city councilors also in Gold Hill. And you might guess that they're here to talk about the agenda item number 2 for the annexation of Gold Hill.
One while they're here.
Well, but the other one's a consent agenda. That'll go pretty quick. Yeah.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept that?
I motion that we accept the consent agenda. I'll second.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Finish. I was just going to say, for those that are online, our audio might not be working so good. So if you can't hear other people, let me know and we'll try to sort that out better.
All right, roll call, please.
Kate Harrison.
Yes.
Mike Parker.
Yes.
Roger Hill.
Yes.
Jim Snyder.
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay. Now, next this is item is resolution 2307, the annexation of the city of Gold Hill.
Okay, there's an awful lot going on here. So what we have before you, we have a resolution to move forward with annexation vote in Gold Hill. I've also got an annexation agreement that we've crafted between us and Gold Hill, which kind of spells out how we would operate starting now and then through the annexation vote, and then after the annexation vote, how we proceed with actually making the completing the project. So in a nutshell, what we're proposing here, what's proposed is to put before the voters of Gold Hill an annexation. And if they approve that, that election would be in August. If that gets approved, then it goes through, has to be certified, and then the county commission has to take final action to actually approve the annexation. That would probably happen sometime in September, October. So where am I going with this? So and then what we would do, they would basically be part of our district. And so we would end up being the ones responsible for finalizing the work that needs to be done to make the regional connection. We did, Adam and I worked on like setting a rate for the interim period. So the interim period, I think it's up to 78 and change a month for single family residents. We would take over the billing after the annexation took place. And we would hold that $78 rate for at least the next 2 years. We would commit to that. That's sufficient. I don't have any. It's about 60.
64.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did approve in July, or effective July 1 to 7888, actually even advance of this. So Gold Hill. Yes. So that $78 rate, that would cover our management costs, our operations costs for keeping because the plant needs to keep running. Of keeping all of that. It covers that expense. It covers the existing debt service that they have right now. And it covers, we did put in some extra there for a capital reserve fund that we're going to try to start accumulating a little bit of money to help pay for the big project. So the big project is likely a $15 million pump station force main project. Hi, Mark. We're just talking about you. If you can hear us. Mark Warwick just joined. So the project itself, it would involve constructing a pump station,
at the location where the treatment plant is right now, building an 8-mile-long force main, basically following the alignment of Blackwell Road. And then it would tie into our existing facilities over by Greater Sand and Gravel, that area on Blackwell Road. Like I said, it's probably in the range of about a $15 million project. It's big, and just to kind of put things in perspective, and that's bigger than any project we've done, probably since the Interceptor was built. It's 8 miles of force main pipe. The entire city of Gold Hill right now has about 7 miles of pipe in their collection system. So this is a big project. And what I spelled out a little bit in my memo there, talking about the financing, there are some wrinkles in that, and the biggest one really comes with the financing side of it, because we had a meeting last week with representatives from DEQ and the USDA Rural Development. I don't think anyone from Business Oregon was there as well. And this is kind of one of the things that we were concerned about, that we feared, is that Gold Hill is eligible for more grant funding than they would if they're annexed. So that's something that's going to get lost. And, if the annexation goes through, they had a one-stop meeting back in January, and the offer was about $4.5 million of grant funding. And it was a less expensive project. So you started with a $12 million project, and you got $4.5 million in grant funding. So that cut that down quite a bit. What we're looking at with this is more like a $15 million project with $2 million of potential grant funding. So it is a significantly more expensive project for a couple of reasons. On the flip side of it is that the operation, the long-term maintenance is minuscule compared to what you're faced with the treatment plant. So it would eliminate the treatment plant. So all those expenses are gone. The pump station expenses, I mean, there's still some expenses associated with that, but relative to what a treatment plant is, it's minimal. So the long term, it's a much better system for the city, for Gold Hill.
The short term is.
And another part of it is, it looks like it's questionable whether USDA would even offer any financing to us, because they have a rule, they call it other funding or something like that. Basically, if the entity, which would be us, is eligible to sell bonds privately and could do that reasonably, they won't bother funding at all. So our choice of funding is going to be through DEQ with the revolving loan fund, and we're in the process of doing that now with a couple other projects. So it's that's the option that would be available to us.
It keeps Gold Hill in a rock and a hard place, because by yourself you could get more funding and it might cost less, but in the long term it might be off for you. And if they come. And I know you understand this, because you guys have been working on it just as long as we have, or longer. And what I'm concerned about a little bit is that funding part.
Yes.
And the reason why is to keep the cost down for the city of Gold Hill, for the residents of Gold Hill.
Oh,
And
Uh-oh. Brenda, you're on speaker.
That's
and
right.
that's what that's the thing that I'm concerned about, is to keep the overall cost as low as possible for them, especially the payback part, because that's a long term. But
yeah, so the long-term rates, if the pipeline gets built, how Gold Hill residents would pay their rates is they would pay the same rate that we pay everywhere else in our district, which right now is $25.50 plus their debt service. And so it's that plus is the one that's, there's still a lot of variables in there, but that could be another $100 easily.
the other thing you brought, and I'm not quite sure I understood it, is if we take over are the debts that Gold Hill already have, are they gonna come due right away?
That's the other, okay, so that's that, my guess is it probably is yes. That was another thing we want to touch on is they have outstanding loans for some collection system work they did. It's about $600,000 is my understanding. The lenders on that have provisions in their loan agreements that basically would prohibit annexation unless it was paid off. So that would have to be part of the annexation process is somehow or another that would have to get paid off.
Or at least the transfer of assets, right? We may be able to annex, but not necessarily transfer assets.
Right, yeah,
We haven't really figured that was a new one. That
Yeah.
we're just working on now.
So, yeah, so I guess two ways to address that. One would be kind of delay when assets get transferred. The other would be to pay that off. You know, we would do it probably through an interfund loan and borrow money out of either the general fund or out of Fund 7, which is our capital reserve fund for the interceptor. So that takes a little bit of finesse, I guess, to make that part of it work. But that is.
We have to pay back that from whatever.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that would. You know, if we paid that off with, you know, say we borrowed money out of Fund 7 to pay that off, that would be part of the debt service that Gold Hill was still obligated for, that we would be charging their residents.
This would be the same increment that we've already embedded in the interest
Yeah.
rate.
Right, okay.
So
I have a question. You stated that DEQ was involved, USDA, Rural Oregon, and Business Oregon. What kind of help, just for my information, was Business Oregon
was the
in the negotiation
Business
about
Oregon.
funding?
what kind of help was who?
Business Oregon, you mentioned?
They kind of organize those. They organize. They're the ones that are kind of organize the one-stop meetings.
They also, the Infrastructure Finance Authority is a
Yeah.
component of Business Oregon, so
Yeah.
they are part of the lending partnership.
Yeah. But they have similar rules to what USDA has about who's eligible. And, you know, they look at our financial statements like, you guys don't need anything, figure it out yourselves.
On the flip side, they look at Gold Hill,
Yeah.
which we're still struggling with prior audits being completed and looking at, are we able to be a good entity to lend to? So we kind of have both extremes.
Yeah.
We're trying to navigate how that
Yeah.
works, to ultimately to the benefit of the Gold Hill ratepayers and residents. That's the ultimate target. You know.
Yeah.
Any idea how long it's gonna take till the audit part to get finished? Compared to, you know, the other timelines we were doing.
Well, we're working on it now with our budget process. Should have that done relatively soon. If RVSS is the applicant, as it's kind of mapped out to be, that becomes, for that particular purpose, becomes moot. We obviously need to get it done for other reasons, but that is an interesting kind of dichotomy between the two. Is so stable that funding is not as lucrative, and our side so unstable that grant opportunities are there, but are we a qualified entity, you know, financially to repay?
So I guess, I mean, that's everything in a nutshell. I mean, you know, the decision that is yours to make right now is whether, I mean, you can say yes or no. If you say no on this, then the city's back to where they were a few months ago, where they're looking to rebuild the treatment plant and trying to find somebody to operate it. You know, which is, you know, not a place where they necessarily want to be. And, you know, if you say yes, then we go through this process. We still have the vote, which could go the other way. I mean, you never know with a vote, but, but
All of this will not.
if the citizens vote it down, then again, they're back to where they were before with rebuilding the plant.
As Carl mentioned in our meeting with the lenders, you know, we wanted to really emphasize, and we'll have to do some more formalizing of it. Should you vote yes, is really that as you started off, is ultimately the rates, you know, to the ratepayers of Gold Hill. It is far less short and long term with the pipeline regionalization solution because of the operational costs of running a plant. And financing with USDA of the plant, if Gold Hill went that route, the rates are higher, but it also comes with a much longer loan period, a 40-year loan period for an asset, that probably needs significant reinvestment well before those debts are paid off. So it isn't really a long-term solution. It's only a stair-step worst rate solution. So really, I think Carl laid out a really good practical document to provide to DEQ and others about how clearly this route is, in short and long term, a great benefit to the community.
Oh, okay.
So that would be that would be kind of the overall assessment how this plays out for the ratepayers of Gold Hill. There's just kind of no doubt that it's a heavy rate increase to Gold Hill regardless, but it's far less now and in the future with the implementation solution.
And we've tried to craft this so that it does not affect our current ratepayers at all. I mean, this is all going to be kind of compartmentalized into Gold Hill. It's a big expense, and Gold Hill ratepayers will be the ones footing that bill, and our ratepayers will be insulated from that. It is a bit of a burden on our staff, particularly our treatment staff, and that's one big concern I have, is because we're going to look at keeping that plant operating probably for another 4 years, 5 years, maybe.
I think that was one of my concerns.
Yeah, and
What it does.
yeah, and that that particular plant it does cause some headaches for people. So that would be the main concerns that I would have is just we need to make sure that we're trying to I guess not put any undue burden on our staff that's going to be charged with keeping that plant operating for another length of time.
And would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm sorry, everybody. My name is Michelle Chavez, and I'm actually from California, but I came in for a couple of days. I have a property owner at 1108 Pheasant Way. It's right around the corner. And for the last 3 years, when the pandemic started, I had squatters in there in my home, and I was in California. And when I came back to try to, to go into my home, I had to call the police and have them, escort the people out. And it's been dragged on and on because they said.
We'll get to, we're in the middle of
Sorry.
this.
Was relevant to what we're talking about now.
Oh, I see.
But I just wanted to recognize you, and we'll get to you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, hi, everybody. I was supposed to be on Zoom, but I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Carl.
Let's see. Oh, I was just talking about making sure that we're not overburdening our treatment staff with the work. I mean, they're doing it now. We actually had one of our employees left back in October, and we've kind of been temporary substituting because we were anticipating being done with Gold Hill by the end of end of June. So we haven't replaced that position. So we've got 3 full-time operators right now doing Shady Cove, Gold Hill, and the lagoons. And so it's a lot of weekend work and things like that we would need to probably beef that up a little bit.
We'll probably need to discuss that after we decide.
Yeah.
See if we need to place that.
Right.
Okay, any other questions before we?
I did have one. When I read your memo about that, and I was looking at the part that you're talking about with the strain on the staff, my question at that particular moment was, what can we do to make it not a problem? Is hiring more people or some kind of arranging of schedules? You talked about weekends and how bad that is.
Yeah.
So is there a potential, at least systematic fix for the 3 or 4 or 5 years you're talking about?
Yeah, we're actually looking at that right now, and seeing if there's some additional automation that we might be able to do that would minimize how much because the plant there doesn't have a real good SCADA system or anything like that. It's got alarms, but it doesn't have any kind of remote control features or automation. And that's something that we're looking at right now. Kevin's getting some quotes, I think, to try to identify some of those, you know, if it looks like we're going to be there for that length of time, I think it's going to be worth it, the investment to make that. We're also, the improvements we're doing in Shady Cove with the disinfection, with changing out to the ultraviolet, that's going to save some weekend work also. So that, I mean, it's not related to Gold Hill, but it's related to the same people.
Yeah, so as we move forward,
Yeah.
we'll be addressing those types of things as well, and so we can get a handle on those.
Yeah.
Right now, we want to know about this resolution.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, if you vote yes, we're in, and I mean, you know, pending the vote. But you know, we're committed to basically, it's forever.
I just have another question back to people. We have that audit going on. What's the likelihood that the audit is going to come back in a very bad way and it's like you don't qualify for the land, you actually owe money someplace you know, so likely to do bad things.
Those are bad things I don't foresee happening at all. What we're really kind of wrestling with is, we know how much money we have. What we need to have sorted out is what are our carry forward balances in the various funds, general fund versus the sewer fund, water fund. You know, there's about 7 different funds that the city has. And so really that's the extent of audit issues. You know, there will need to be some transfers and ensuring, working with the auditors to complete, to kind of legally, you know, make those transfers occur. So all of the funds end up with their appropriate ending fund balance and carry forward for the next year. I don't see any, the 2 examples you raised there. I don't see an issue occurring with that. So it's not a default behind anything. It's a matter of what are our balances in our various funds. And you know, when we talked with Carl with the sewer fund, part of the reason council committed to actually putting that interim rate forward, you know, in July is whenever, if this does go through, if everyone is in favor, that fund gets closed out at some point, and that's part of the asset mix that comes to RVSS. So putting that rate in earlier than the actual transition time allows that fund to be a little healthier and maybe helps offset, you know, micro, but still does contribute to offsetting some of these interim costs, because we'll be collecting on that revenue starting July 1.
Okay. And for Carl, you talked at first things in the documents and the other things you talked about. There will be a point in time in which we're going to take possession and transfer funds to us. How do we have confidence that the amount that they're spending after what they have will the right amount? Is there an audit you have to do, or how do you ensure the liability of what the money is to make sure it's the right amount?
I think we would rely on their audit reports on something like that.
Yeah, so I think that's
Yeah.
part of it. It will establish what that balance, that
Yeah.
carry forward balance is for that fund. Obviously, some of the assets are fixed and known, you know, the
Yeah.
collection system itself, the asset isn't money in the bank, it's the title of the property that the plant, you know,
Yeah.
sits on, some equipment, some of that is spelled out, or most of it, I think, is spelled out in the annexation agreement, but I think the smaller amount of the total asset transfer is really the fund balance.
Yeah.
But it's still there, and yeah, and we'll have the independent auditors.
Yeah. And we did the similar thing with Shady Cove, and you know, when they got their audit report and they said, this is how much it is, and they gave it to us, and we didn't try to independently verify it. We trusted their audit.
Okay. So they're going to write us a check essentially, or do something.
Yeah, they would transfer that. Yeah. I guess
Whatever SDCs that are sewer SDCs.
Yeah.
Would move as well.
Yeah. I didn't mention, but I should mention, part of the whole thing is that once the annexation is complete, that we would assume all the billing. So we would add Shady Cove billing to our billing program.
Gold Hill.
I'm sorry, Gold Hill.
That's what's scary.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
2 questions.
I'll let you ask 2 questions.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are the systems and transferring of this data compatible? And they must have a database of their own out there on who's paying and whatever, who's billing. Does it match ours? Do we actually know?
I'll defer to Carol.
I'm doubtful that it matches ours, but our software provider can take data and make it fit.
So if we can do it in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Make sure we have everything that they have in our system so we can do.
Yeah. It's only about 500 accounts.
Yeah.
So it's not
Won't
a
take very
huge,
long.
yeah.
Our system is not directly compatible, I would guarantee you that.
Yes.
But it can be exported in a CSV or in a
Yeah.
format that your system can upload.
There's ways.
Yeah, they take care of that for us.
You know, issues. If it's not compatible and it doesn't function well on the very first time.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of complaints of people, you know, my billing is wrong. It's not
Yeah.
this month or
Well,
didn't get a bill.
We'll have a couple of months to make sure that it's up and running because, you know, when, after the vote happens, there's a period of time before, you know, we wouldn't start billing until November, even though the vote happened in August. So we would have that time to make sure that that's all working. Another component of that is getting the water meter reads from the city because anything that's non-residential is based on water consumption. So, you know, and we do that right now with all the cities we work with. So they send us their water meter reads and they do magic and it gets on their bills.
Also, you know, there's, you know, not everybody pays on time, so there's some stuff that we'll have collections post transfer that we would still then trickle in and transfer along because it would be potentially revenue that belongs to RVSS. So that's kind of that trailing stuff that will get worked out.
And you'll work out some kind of campaign to let people know that this isn't billing system. It's gonna come on a certain day and be aware of it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we will still be, you know, the city of Gold Hill still will be sending out water. We water storm drain. There's a streets transportation fee and then the new parks and facilities fee. So we will still be sending bills and our utility newsletter. So we have plenty of communication to be had there to coordinate.
Yeah, just want a good start up on the very first day.
Right.
Carl, like a week ago, or maybe you sent us these three options for. I thought they were called option 1, 2, and 3 for. Continued our relationship with Gold Hill. And I thought we were supposed to
Yes.
select. I thought we were going to select one of those three. You had a recommendation against number 2.
Yeah, I did.
Is that gone away because you basically incorporated number 3 into the agreement?
Okay, so yeah, so yes, so if you choose option 1, basically you say no to the annexation. And our maintenance agreement expires at the end of June and Gold Hill is left up to, you know, to figure it out. If you choose, and option 2 was just kind of kicking the can and I didn't think that was a good idea to kind of continue with this half in, half out. And then option 3, you know, basically option 1 is we're out, option 3 is we're in. And we're going forward with the annexation.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Yeah.
So that's what's in the agreement.
Yeah.
And then in the agreement, a few places you make reference to things that have to happen prior to completion of the pipeline connection to the regional water reclamation facility. I
Okay.
wonder if it would be more clear to call that prior to connection to the regional facility or something instead of
Where did
using
I?
the sewage treatment plant, like debt service 5B. II.
Okay. BII.
I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if that's BI or B2.
Yeah. Sewer revenue collected from Gold Hill accounts in excess of 30,000 a month. Is that the one you're?
Right, but it's the next sentence. Or
Prior to completion of the pipeline connection to the regional water reclamation facility.
so we're not connecting to the regional water reclamation. We're connecting to the region.
Which is connected. I don't know. We want to split that hair. I think in DEQ language, what they consider, they call it the POTW, the publicly operated treatment works. They include all the collection system and everything. So I guess that's what I was how I was thinking about it when I wrote that.
Okay.
I think it works.
Okay. It's not physically a correct term, but it may be legally.
Then, yeah, the new pipe isn't going to the treatment plant, but all the flow is going to it. So
technically, it gets there eventually.
I guess there,
Yeah,
All rolls down now.
everybody else doesn't care. I'll let it go.
I mean, the two people who signed it from Gold Hill are here, so if we want to change it, we can change it and have them re-sign.
No, if you think it's, I mean.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah,
what we're
Joe
allowed.
Kellerman and I have been around several times on this, and so he didn't raise any objections to that. His biggest concern really is the financing side of it, and you're agreeing in advance to secure this financing that it's not real well defined of how you're going to do it.
Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
You did say your billing department is large enough staffed right now without time to take care of the burden. I'm talking about
I'm sorry.
the billing department.
Oh, yeah. That's not going to be a problem.
Also,
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the scope of it, like I said, you're only talking about 500 units. I mean, that's, it's a little bit more than a big subdivision, but it's, we add more than 500 new accounts every year for as long as I've been here. We've done that just from regular development in the growth. So,
Yeah, so clarify for me if, so the pump station is gonna have maintenance cost, in 5 years from now, when it's all done, the pump station is gonna have maintenance costs and power and electricity.
Mhm.
costs. Will that be, is that borne by Gold Hill or by the region?
I would consider that part of the collection system. Very similar. We have a very similar situation with Eagle Point. When Eagle Point connected, when they annexed, or they built their pump station before they annexed, but they built the Eagle Point pump station, and that connects Eagle Point to the rest of the region. And
They're uphill, so it's a little less expensive to get the sewage there.
it's about a mile force main, and it's a bigger town, so there's more flow, but it's a much shorter force main. So yeah, that was part of it, but we don't try to segregate out those expenses. That was a kind of a this is a Mike Parker legacy, that we've kind of normalized the rates everywhere. We've decided that even Eagle Point, they've got that pump station, or some places are inherently more expensive to serve because of their distance or because of pumps or things like that. But that's been kind of our policy for quite a number of years, that we don't differentiate that. Sewer services, you're going to pay for it the same rate regardless of what it takes for us to get it to you.
So what we do differentiate though is the debt.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's what the service itself.
right.
So the city's getting a good deal on that.
Yeah, this is.
Well, we know.
Yeah.
That's, this is, hopefully it's a good deal all the way around long term.
Yeah, I mean, this is very beneficial for the city of Gold Hill. I think it's good for the river, and for our region, for our core, it's neutral. I mean, it's not going to be, it's not going to make much of a difference either way. So it's just a lot of work.
Any other questions?
That being said, I move to pass resolution 2307, annexation of the city of Gold Hill.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Tom,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Mike Parsons.
For the greater good of everyone, yes.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you, everyone, for that.
And then also the annexation agreement, we would need a motion on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the next part.
Okay.
2308,
Oh, okay.
isn't that?
No.
No, that's the budget. So.
I don't have a resolution for the annexation agreement. It would just be a motion to approve.
I just need a motion for that. For your agreement.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mike and Mike.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
it. Absolutely.
Roger Tom.
Yeah.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the next step is, we need to set, we'll send this resolution to the county elections clerk to get that election scheduled. There's a couple of ballot title forms that we'll need to submit that basically lays out the question. I think that's pretty straightforward. And then the election itself would happen, I think it's August 21st, 20. Yeah, it's a fourth Tuesday in August. And we'll probably do some town hall type outreach, just to make sure people are informed about what's involved here and what it's going to do. So, and then we'll probably, I'm probably going to make an application to DEQ for funding soon. Just to get their next review of projects is in August also. So I want to get that locked in. And if the annexation fails, then we just withdraw it. But otherwise, we just move forward. We'll move forward with it. Yes. Because the funding application is probably going to take at least a year. We're going to have to get an engineer. We're not going to try to do this in-house with the engineering. It's just too big of a project. So we're going to have to get proposals from engineers, and I want to have all this stuff lined up, just ready to put into action as soon as everything's settled. So that is the plan.
I could just ask you guys, if all this comes about as you all the work and you guys have your people not paying more, when you look at the amount of the base of the rate that you're charging plus the added burden, are the citizens that you have in the city making enough money to bear that on a monthly basis? I mean, how are they going to feel or react? It's going to be a problem for them. I'm just looking at the population, income, and that kind of thing. Not necessarily what we're doing here, but how it's going to impact the people.
Right, yeah, no, that's definitely a consideration. It's really looking at the alternative of what it would be if not for this path, would even be more extensive. We did sign up and get into the program that Access has for water and sewer rate relief or bill relief. So that's been helpful. But yeah, there's a segment for the very reason that we were looked at favorably for grants. Was exactly that reason, is because they're from an income qualifying community, there's a challenge, the high percentage that have challenges. I think we're as a community and as a city entity, we're in a position where we regulatorily, it doesn't matter reacting. DEQ is, we are at the 11th hour plus on a requirement to solve this problem. So yeah, had it been done, many years earlier, stair stepping of rates could have been more gradual. The large jump is always something you try to avoid. What we are hopefully avoiding is the largest of jumps, which would be, I think, as we found out with our prior one stop on building a new plant plus operations, that jump would have been even significantly higher. So it's a real issue, a real concern, and something that is going to be hard for some members of the community, that's for sure. We also have water rating issues that we need to address as well. So it's not the only game in town, unfortunately.
Yeah, part of the reason I asked was I was in contact the other day with the food pantry people in our city. And I was just, how many people are coming in compared now to previous, and what are you finding? And with inflation being what it is and housing costs, rental going up, they're having a lot of people come in who are paying the money on rent and then don't have money for food. So that was kind of the model I was looking at it. What's going to happen to your folks down there if all these different rate increases, not just ours, pile on at the same time? Are people going to have to move out of town? Or is there some other way that they're going to be able to meet the building basically?
Yeah, that is a concern. It's a longer term policy concern, I think, for mayor and council is what does that do, to the long term demographics of the community. There's some things that it may help it spur on, and there's things that it may, be a challenge for. I mean, economic development. This should it with your vote. Thank you very much. The longer term implications from an employment standpoint and a development standpoint, having a stable sewer infrastructure and not having question marks from the development community about what are we building and hooking onto, that helps, grows the tax base, grows the customer base, that helps, all of it work.
And, all of the cities are looking, cities and entities are looking at that, as for information and stuff. But the best thing we can do is to stabilize the infrastructure to help us build those foundations so we can roll it and stuff. Anyway, Carl.
Yes.
Go ahead and take care of resolution 2308, then talk to this young lady.
Okay, yeah. 2308, that's Brenda is going to give you the information on that.
Okay. Brenda?
Or not.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So on that resolution, we talked last month, we had a similar resolution to the Gold Hill in regards to the sludge disposal. So that additional amount is for the month of April that we've gone over budget. I'll probably have a similar one next month.
Yeah. So I need a motion, please.
A motion that we pass resolution 2308, transfer of appropriations in the fiscal year 23 budget.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Kate Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Tom,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
That's taken.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And do you want to change orders here and talk to Ms. Chavez?
These guys can go if they want to, right?
Yeah, I was wondering, if I just chime in.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
all again for the vote and the support of the regionalization project, and we will we'll exit on out here, let you finish up the
Okay.
rest of your agenda.
All right, I'll send you a copy of the agreement when it's signed and okay. See you around.
Make sure to get your good lunch.
And if the annexation goes through, then you're eligible to run for office here too. So.
It will go.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Michelle Chavez, she kind of gave you a brief introduction already.
It's really
Yeah.
quirky story. I give
Yeah.
you a little entertainment today. Yeah. What I'm here for is, I'm asking, for basically to waive fees that were fraudulently applied to my name and my property address in Central Point, right here around the corner. And I had I called and I came in person a couple of times, but I live out of state, so it's very hard for me to communicate and know what's going on. I had squatters in my house, and when the pandemic happened, they were in my house for a few, I just recently got them out. And then I had bills from Pacific Power, water company, all of that stuff. And I had, which is thousands of dollars, of course. And I owe right now the water company, the sewer company, I think it's like almost $200. And I had my lawyer ask if there's anything that we could do, because I wasn't able to pay anything because it was in lawsuit. I wasn't able to do anything, and we're still in suit, but those people just got out of our house and I want to make it ready to rent. So I want to ask if you can waive the charges, and I'll read the letter that my lawyer wrote, but I thought of coming in person. I couldn't get in the Zoom. I'm coming in person to ask you guys. Okay, so it's regarding the sewer services bill at 1108 Pheasant Way, and to may concern all of you. I'm the property owner, and I had to leave the state for a while. While I was gone, I asked my mother to watch the house. Without my permission, my mother rented the house out to one of her friends. And she had kept, Elizabeth Chavez kept any rental money that was coming in from renting the house and did not pay any of Michelle Chavez's bills. Michelle Chavez tried having the water service discontinued to the house, but Elizabeth Chavez was somehow able to get it turned back on. Michelle Chavez tried evicting the tenants in the house, but due to the technical nature of landlord-tenant law was unsuccessful. Michelle Chavez, I'm a disabled individual, and the only income I'm currently just receiving is disability income. And that was my rental, that was my income after I went disabled in 2000. That was supposed to be my source of income, the rental house. And for these reasons, I'm seeking relief for some of the bills that my mother and her friend ran up without taking care of them. For that reason, I request some leniency regarding the bills that have been run up concerning my property. And that's all I've been back and forth working with Central Point Police. And now I have to go to a board meeting tonight at 6 o'clock to try to, figure out the property, the HOA fees. So basically it's thousands of dollars, but this is like $200 that I would really appreciate if it could get waived, because there was no way for me to pay for this. And then they had the tenants living in my house for free for almost 3 years under my name, and I've been calling, turning off the service. A couple months later, I don't know what's going on. I'm in California. They turned the power back on in my name. I don't know how they kept on doing that, but because they had my social security and all my information, that's how they were able to do it. So that's all I'm asking, to please waive the fees that I didn't create and I wasn't able to pay. That's all I'm asking here today.
Happened to your mother.
I haven't talked to her. It's really sad because I haven't talked to her ever since this happened. It's been 2 years since I can't even talk to her because my life has been really ruined.
He doesn't live there.
Yeah, she never lived with me. That was a house that I bought because that was the only, you know what I mean? So she lives in Medford, Oregon, and she has all my information, and she was allowed to do that while I was in. And with the pandemic, nobody could help me. And then when they were in there, the police went over there, they had a great story. They were in cahoots with her. They weren't paying nothing. They were living in my house. They damaged my house. So now I'm around the corner and I'm fixing the house right now, and just for the couple of days that I'm here. And I don't have that money. I'm not rich. And I'm just trying to get it back to where I can start paying the taxes off and paying everything off. So that's all I'm asking. I'm not a rich lady, and I'm trying to do everything that I can to get my life back together after this fraud.
So you mentioned that there was a outstanding bill for you for water and sewer.
Yeah.
Those are two separate entities.
Yes, the sewer was ran up because and the water was ran up. The water, there was Chris Clayton. They knew about the situation and they went to court, and the water company waived all the fees too. And they also Pacific Power, because they were able to keep on, with my property address and the way things work legally. The squatters, they were just creating fraud and using it, and they were getting away with it for so long. And now I finally got them out.
How much have you accumulated in the sewer?
It's the sewer charges is basically just $200, but the other ones are thousands, and yeah.
We're the cheap.
Yeah, you're not the cheap one, but you know what though, you guys, this was very interesting for me. I'm just a local gal, and this is nice. I can, talk to you. And then I also feel good that when I leave, that this doesn't happen to somebody else, because it happened to me, and it was the worst thing ever. I lost my mom, I lost my house, I lost my money, and then I'm coming back here and I'm trying to fix everything slowly but surely. But but I would appreciate anything, and to move forward and to, make sure everything's current, and then get the house rented out so I can, start paying off all those bills that they've accumulated.
Have you submitted a bill to us outlining the dates that you're talking about?
No, all I have was because of the water company had they went to court, the Chris Clay, I don't know. They had they had water, they had all that kind of stuff, but I didn't have, you know, anything from the sewer. I just got bills. And I also thought that the water company was the sewer company too. You know what I mean, at first. Yeah.
In some places.
Yeah, and then I pay HOAs as well. So I pay $70 HOAs. And then I pay the sewer bill and the water bill. And so it's all three different, you know what I mean? And the HOAs, I thought that you would get like a discount or something like that. But when I moved in 2015, when I bought the house, everything was different. And now it's 2023 and the last 3 years have just been wiped. I mean.
So a couple of things, you know, this particular account's been delinquent for a while. We actually certified it on the taxes last year. And I think
So you
that
already charged my property
Yeah.
taxes.
So
Yeah,
that-
see,
that was certified last year. The current delinquency is $183. 12 of that is late fees, so it's $170 in service charges, 183 in late fees. I mean, total with late fees. You know, our policy, our code has always been that it is the property owner's responsibility to pay the sewer bill. We don't do tenant billings or things like that. So that's why it's all falling
Yeah.
on Ms. Chavez here. You know, the other stuff that's happening, I mean, that we tend not to pay attention to that. That's, you know, from our perspective, you know, the house was occupied, it was in use, you know, the costs were incurred, and so we would charge that. I think, you know, ultimately the dispute really is between Ms. Chavez and either her mother or the tenants that were living in there.
they were
yeah.
never tenants.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
all done behind.
Right, I understand. I
Okay.
mean, I understand the distinction. I just, from our perspective, that's, you know, we focus on the property owners. We don't really pay attention to who's living in the house, you know, because you get a lot of situations with rentals and stuff.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but the part of using my name. and
Right.
Putting my bill to fraud.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, I appreciate your situation. I'm just letting the board know that, you know, just if you just look at our code and look at what our code says, you know, the house was occupied, the sewer was used, you know, the fees are owed.
So
Yeah.
Can you get relief from the sewer bill if it's not occupied?
We do have some provisions for that, like if it's not occupied and they turn the water off, then we will suspend billing. But if the water's on, then we assume that it's still in use.
So
So
Right, so you would have had the ability to turn off.
I did
Yeah.
turn off the water. They turned it back.
like one day, you know, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They turned it.
It's been going over 3
Yeah.
years. So every time I turned off the bills, when I found out I was getting charged, I said, no, this is what would happen.
I mean, there's no real precedence for anything like this.
It's
We've never had
ridiculous,
this.
right?
Well, no, I think this happens a lot.
Yeah.
There's no precedence for us to give reimbursement on
No,
something like this. I mean, we've never done that. And
I see.
It's just not
So
done. I mean, I could see him waiving the late fees, you know, late fees kind of a thing. Could be done by staff,
Uh-huh.
you know, considering what you've had going on to get yourself, get yourself cleaned up, pay the bill without the late fees. But I don't think we'd have hundreds of people coming to us to ask for the same thing, because that happens all over the place here. If, you know, under this kind of circumstance.
I'd like to ask a question of this board. We've been compassionate before. What do you think?
well, with the first part that was certified already. I don't see taking that back, but there's a part now that 100 and whatever it is.
Mhm. Which is, you know, we're getting ready to gear up for certification again, you know, here in the next few weeks.
In favor of that.
The
But it's up to
180.
the rest. Yeah, and leaving the part that's already been served. Because it's kind of, it's like Roger was saying, a lot of crap went on.
Yeah.
The last 3 years and hurt a lot of people. And unfortunately, you were one of them. And unfortunately, it was your family member that did it. We have rules and we have to stick down by them, because if we start making exceptions, it doesn't go down well. I mean, anytime you, but I can see in this case, we've certified part of it already. We've got another part that we haven't yet. If I wouldn't have a problem leaving that on, especially because you're in the process of cleaning things up. You've got the person out and all of that. You still have a long way to go.
Yes, I do.
But I could see that. And leaving the certification of what's already there. Just because we can't set too much precedence. That's what our rule is. And it's the rule that the landlord is the responsible person. It sounds like you tried to be responsible and it didn't work. But, you know, we have to stick by our rules. That's what, to me, that's kind of a compromise in a way. But that's the only thing I can see that we can do.
What are you gonna do once you leave?
Well, right now, me and my family are. I'm fixing it up right now to try to, she already left. She left and she turned in the keys 2 weeks ago. And I came down right away and I went into the house and figured out all the damage. And now we're here I'm trying to fix it up and to rent it out so I can pay for all the back, taxes and everything and create income. That's what I was previously doing.
That was supposed to happen.
Yeah, that was what was supposed to happen. When I left, I was going to sell the house or rent it out and the pandemic happened. And that's where, yeah.
Okay,
But-
what you're saying is you are in favor of relieving the 180 or 170, 183 relief from this board?
Yeah,
I agree with that.
but not the part that's already certified.
Are you talking about the property taxes that I owe? Yeah, I do. I have no clue. Do you even know how much?
I don't.
That's my,
They can tell you.
Yeah,
oh, okay. The thing is that I don't know even my attorney's working on the property taxes right now, trying to, but I would appreciate, just moving forward and I will pay, I'm very responsible. I never was late. I had perfect everything, before this happened. And I would appreciate that, anything, any leniency.
What was your address on Pleasant Way?
1108 Pleasant Way. Did I meet you before?
Right out.
Did I call you and tell you to get them out of my house?
He was sleeping in the back.
Well, we're done.
I am part of the police department's volunteer program and we do neighborhood safety while you're gone.
Yeah,
It's called a vacation check program.
Okay.
If you're out of the area. Next time you leave for a period of more than 7 days and less than 6 months, if you go online to see Central Point and call it, you're gonna be out of the house for 6 months, you can say vacation, whatever you want. They have volunteers or patrolmen going by there every other day, making sure that nobody
Oh.
is residents.
trust me, the Central Point Police tried to help me and they were there right when everything, but they couldn't, Officer Godley and Bruce, they're all very nice, they all understood. But they couldn't do anything. They even, would go to court and it's all legal and because it's just.
You also mentioned Chris Clayton's name. How did he help you in that regard?
Oh, because he was part of they had a lawyer that they were making me pay for, trying to the squatter lady in there, I was trying to get them out and they hired a lawyer that went to court one time and called I turned off the power or I turned off something, I don't recall because it was a few months ago. They turned it off and then they Chris Clayton, I had to get Chris Clayton, they made me call him and talk to him. And he said that he would resolve everything. He didn't know the story. He was told that there were tenants in there and she had a kid and turned the power back on. That she was a regular renter. They didn't find out until recently that she wasn't they were squatters and they were putting on the power and the water for them. So Chris emailed me and he told me that everything would be cleared once she's out, and he did. He did. That's how I know Chris. So Chris took care of that part, yeah.
Good.
So were the renters getting the bill or were you getting the bill?
I'm getting everything, can't do anything. These weren't renters, these were liars, yeah. I know, I get really offended because I never got a penny. Those are not renters,
But
and
you were getting the bill.
yeah, everything was getting billed to me. And I would close, I turned off everything before I moved. And everything was getting billed to me, and I was kept calling and kept trying to fix things. And I would turn it off, and then they would turn it back on in a couple of days, and then I would get a bill again.
Seems to me that what I'm hearing from her, and as it affects us, is we don't have a methodology to sort out legitimate people from fraudulent people. And fraud was committed through her name to us. So the fraud is from the other people to us. We also don't have a internal mechanism to handle the financial fraud. We just automatically say the property owner's got to do everything no matter what.
Right.
I think there's a caveat here that if it's actually illegal activity perpetrated upon the person who owns the property, somehow we didn't respond properly to her, saying that, turn it off because, and it got turned off. And it got turned on again without any checking with her. I think the internal process is not working here, but there's also no policy on what to do when a fraud is committed against us.
I guess not, it's against the water commission, or the water, commission, right? We can't turn off the sewer, right?
No.
We don't put a plug in the line going out of the house, but they can turn off the water to the house, but you can still flush toilets without water, and you still use the sewer, so I think we're absolved from that.
And I know, like, going
I think
forward,
it's time for us to make a decision on this, like.
I do
we-
too.
I will make a motion to express relief of the amount you mentioned.
If you're going to do that, I would recommend you pick a date, like say anything incurred prior to May 1st or something like that. That way it lines up with the billing process.
in my house, they just moved out on the beginning of this month. This is May.
So May
Yeah.
1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you say you want to, forgive any delinquent bills that were incurred before May 1st that haven't been certified, just to cover it all.
Okay,
So.
Yeah, okay.
Just go all the
So-
way back to
Prior to May 1st, starting date about when?
I started, the water you're talking about?
Friday.
Oh, oh gosh, that in December 2019 is when it all started.
yeah, this only takes care of the part that's. current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, so we have to see when the last so.
Yeah, well, that's what that $180 is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
Regarding that.
Yeah.
So they need to start with an end date, so we got an end date.
Did you make a motion?
I started one, but we got wording
Yeah.
involved here. How do you want to word that?
I think the motion would be to forgive all delinquent sewer bills for
Non-certified.
that were incurred prior to May 1st, 2023, that have not been certified on property tax.
Okay.
Or the whatever the address is, 1108 Pheasant Way.
Second. Moved and seconded, and roll call please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Tone,
No.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay, that should clear up at least that part of it for you.
Okay, thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening to me, and
Yeah,
I know I'm just one, but
Yeah.
it helps.
Going forward, this is unusual. We won't be able to do this again.
Oh, I hope this never happens. No, so now, what I'm thinking is the property, I have to like talk to the property, the city of Medford about the property taxes, all the,
The county.
yeah, so I have to go to another meeting, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
all these, I got one tonight. Is that with you all too?
No.
At
No,
6
is
o'clock?
that the HOA? one?
Yeah,
I'll
that's,
see you again.
oh, yeah. So you know, yeah, that'll be great. I'll see you tonight and I'll shower all up. Thank you.
One suggestion.
Yes, sir.
Group that's in the house,
Yes,
ready to leave. Call the water department to the central point and tell them you're leaving, the water's been turned off. And there's no authority to turn that back on except for you.
I did.
Can you give them
And I
a
also-
secret code or something?
No, I used my social security. I used, I said ID me. Don't let anybody turn that back on unless they ID. I tried it all.
You call, tell them about before this happened in the past, you want to wait for them to lock it off until you say, turn it back on.
Danger locks.
But how do they know it's her?
You guys,
What-
everything you guys are doing, everything you're saying. Yeah, we got, okay, thank you so much.
Sorry.
So good. I just hope it never happens.
Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, we got an executive session too. and
Yeah.
Roger's got to work.
Okay, yeah.
I want to talk before I go to work. Before we do executive session.
All right.
That was very frustrating for me.
I can see that.
I have a personal frustration with that. Because it just took way too long for us to get to a decision on it. Took way too long to figure out what it was the issue. We kept giving her advice and advice and advice, and it's like,
That's not. what
you know, she may have been here for 25 minutes, you know, of our time for one person. I mean, let her go get her advice from a psychiatrist or something, I guess, you know, I'm being harsh, but it was just like that. I think that should have been a 7.5 minute discussion with the person to figure that out where we were gonna go. And I'm sorry, I didn't have the compassion for her. I had to vote no, but
It's okay.
it's just,
It really is.
I'm sorry, it was frustrating, because we just let her, we just kept leading her on, I guess.
Yeah.
Talking to her. I'm letting her talk.
Sometimes.
So
we
I
overtalk
apologize for my aggressiveness and interrupting. Thank you.
Sometimes we overtalk and we talk about things that don't have anything to do with what we're doing right now. We need to get to the point and get it done. That includes me as well. And so, okay. Speaking of, next thing we have project updates.
Hey, this is Nick.
All right, I'm gonna get to the point and get it done. So we did, just a quick update, we did have a spring erosion and sediment control class. We actually contracted with a local company, Greenwood Environmental, and Tori Greenwood kind of led the class, and I came in and gave a short presentation about our submittal processes. But the major takeaway was we got some really good feedback. It was kind of just a little bit of change in approach and perspective, and but we had some pretty good turnout, 23 first time and 6 recertifications, which is pretty average for us. But it was pretty nice to keep that class going in the absence of a stormwater coordinator. So Antelope Road, that project's still rolling. We're making some good progress. We're getting really close to buttoning up all of the design, the little loose ends, and putting the contract together. So let me hit these other quick ones here. I'm scrolling down. Oh, the next one is going to be J343 Viola Siphon. We had a pre-construction meeting on the 10th, and there was some discussion around some scheduling conflicts and the contractor possibly having to go out on site, start construction, and due to prior obligations, pulling off the site, possibly, and then coming back. So we worked it out with the contractor to get a schedule that's going to work for them to be able to get into the intersection. For a little background, this is at Vilas and Table Rock right down the road here, which is extremely busy. And we worked out a schedule where they can get in, start, and work continuously until project completion, which is going to be about 20-25 days of work. So as little amount of impact on that intersection as possible is going to be normal for everybody. Fiscal year 2023 CIPP projects, that project's up and running. Contractor has mobilized. They've done the cleaning and TV work, and they should start lining here in the next couple weeks. Lagoons, we've trenched in our electrical conduit, and we're backfilling as we speak. And we're still working with the electrician to come out and start pulling wire on the downstream end of the service, and we are actually waiting for Pacific Power to come in and install the service. So moral of the story there is it's moving forward. We're just kind of waiting for Pacific Power at this point. Cummins Stormwater Facility, that project's moving forward. We're working on design. Carl's spearheading the funding on the Clean Water State Resolving Fund side. Glenwood Stormwater Facility, this is probably the major item here. So if you scroll down, we have an IGA. I mentioned this, I believe, in our last board meeting, but this is the actual IGA between RVSS, ODOT, and the county. And Carl did mention that we had, the agreement is essentially ODOT will build the facility. RVSS is more or less donating the land and the space, and or did I say RVS? Jackson County, and RVSS will be doing the long-term maintenance on it. So if you scroll down, there's, to give you guys a little perspective here, there's some exhibits at the bottom.
Yeah, that looks really good. Let me get to it.
Me too.
Yeah.
There.
So yeah,
That's
this was actually an exhibit we put together just in our conversations with the ODOT, but that kind of shows the scope of this facility. And down on that table, the total routed flows to all basins, it's almost 170 acres. And you can kind of see where the facility is going to be. It's going to be on basin F, which is kind of that kind of aquamarine color up there. And it's going to drain all of the colored basins there, which, you know, about half of that is farmland, about half of it's developable land. So it's and then if you scroll down, you kind of see, there it is. That's what you see from the air as you fly over coming into Medford. So but back to the we will need a signature on this.
Yeah, we need a motion to approve the cooperative agreement.
Right.
Can I have a motion for that cooperative agreement, please?
Again, this is the agreement. It's a three-way between ODOT, us, and Jackson County. ODOT's going to pay the full cost of construction. Jackson County is going to donate the land, and we are going to be saddled with it for eternity.
Should we?
I will so motion and have a suggestion. Could we, what really helped in city council is when there is a motion being made, you have a list of the emotions with the motion number. So if you're not looking through to find the motion, just restate the motion. You just read it on.
That's a good point.
Saves
Yep.
time, confusion, you know, something to papers.
You will see that next month.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it, whatever I second.
Yeah, because it just said information and discussion.
Right.
I didn't know that it needed to.
That's okay, Joe. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison.
Yes.
Mike Parker.
Yes.
Roger Town.
Yes.
Jim Snyder.
Yeah.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
I mentioned my recommendation. What we do in the city is, it actually is a written recommended with the exact words.
Okay.
And if there's multiple, like do or don't do, it can be in the two. I mean, whoever's doing it is already confident with what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, usually almost everything we're motioning on is already a resolution, so it's straightforward, but yeah, today we've had more than a few that aren't.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you gotta tell.
This one just sneaked under.
Yeah, it did, because usually there's something there. It's usually me, isn't it? Okay, next, O&M updates.
Hey, good afternoon. real quick, you guys have been here a long time already, so it's been business as usual last month. Items of note, in addition on building and grounds, in this fiscal year budget, we have an item in there to seal coat, asphalt coat, the parking area here on our facility all the way to the back and restripe the parking spots. So we're just proceeding with that. The weather's flipped, so that work can be completed. So, you know, I've got some quotes for that work, and we're going to go ahead and get someone on that and try to get it done before the end of June. So that's a new revelation.
Just real quick on that, we Shane he managed to get 3 bids on that work, but the only one that was really we considered thorough enough was actually the highest one. So we are going to go with a higher bidder. It's going to be about $16,000. There's some extra work that they were proposing to do, like the places where those oil stains and things like that, which need a little bit of extra attention. And only one of the proposals had a plan to address that. So, you know, it was fairly close to the other ones, but again, the one that we think is the most qualified and the best suited for the work is more expensive.
Is that Mosier?
You don't have a head nod. I mean, I'm letting you. If there's an objection, you know, we'll build on it, but otherwise we'll move forward. I mean, it's a pretty small amount. Okay, sorry to interrupt you, Shane.
Okay, and then vehicles and equipment, we did sell the 2006 Volvo dump truck at auction. We got $73,000 at auction, but the check from the state after fees, we got a check from the state for $63,510. So hopefully this coming, I'll get that office furniture out of here, and that'll be the next item up for bid. That's it.
Hey Shane, how did the sprinkler stuff go out front?
Oh, you know about that?
I know about it.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. I almost say that's too soon, Kay, because I had 3 days of trauma dealing with that. But yeah, we got it. It kicked our butts pretty good, but in the end, we prevailed, and nothing died in the project.
I'm glad it died.
Yeah. Word travels fast. So, but yeah, we won the day on that eventually, and everything is looking pretty good. So, thanks for asking.
Thank you, Shane, and thank you for the guys that were working on it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Okay.
Manager's report.
Okay, so let's see. We did the consent agenda. We did Gold Hill, the retirement health insurance. I keep revising this and coming back. So my latest and greatest is I did pare down the numbers a little bit. I think that was kind of the direction that I got last month.
Yep.
And you know, still kind of the same basic provision is a person who reaches the age of 60 and retires would be eligible for some level of subsidy for health insurance until they reach eligibility for Medicare. And I did in my memo, I did kind of lay out, you know, what I'm trying to compare it to, or what I'm trying to target with how PERS operates with the retirement health insurance premium account. It's a little bit different because they recalculate the numbers every year and have, you know, and I don't know the formula they use or the basis of it. So I was just throwing some straight percentages in there. And I did calculate, I did run a model of taking all of our current employees, if they all took full advantage of this, what the ultimate cost would be. So it would, let's see. Yeah, so it would, you know, we'd be looking at an average, if we did this, of about $55,000 a year if everybody who was eligible took full advantage of it. I know that not everyone would take full advantage of it, because I know there's people that are eligible right now that aren't taking advantage of the program that we have currently. No, not Carol yet, but No, we do have one employee who, would be eligible if he retired right now. Our current policy of 63.5 paying 100%. But he has no intention of retiring right
It's
now.
always good to have options.
Yeah.
So this employee separation agreement, did you work that up with Joe?
I did that with Joe. I've had that for a while. And I can't remember when we used it at some point for somebody. Huh? Was it Quentin? Okay. So within the past couple of years, we had an employee, who had some medical issues and was retiring for medical reasons. So we worked this up for him. And so I just changed some of the names. I didn't make any other changes to it. So it has been reviewed by Joe, but not recently, I guess is what I'll say. So if this is agreeable, I'll bring this back I'm not asking for approval today, but I just wanted to get feedback. If this, is agreeable to the board, I'll bring it back next month as an action item.
Okay, we'll look at it next month.
Yeah.
Have more discussion next month.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And the last thing is on our surplus property. Where we sell the vehicles at auction, we do need to get, there's an amendment that doesn't look to me like it says anything, but they want it. But our agreement with the state to sell the property. So I do need to get that one approved. So that would be a motion.
Okay, so I need a motion for amendment number 1 to intergovernmental agreement to deputy long-term member about disposal of surplus property for the Road Valley Services.
I so moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Jones,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yeah.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay. And then the last thing on my list would be performance review. We need to schedule my annual performance review. And since we are going to have change in the board, I was wondering if it might be beneficial to do like a performance review in June and then do our goal setting in July when we have,
Yeah.
okay. So we will get that scheduled. And that's all for me.
Okay. We need to go to executive session. You want to?
Claims.
Yeah, we're gonna do claims first.
Yeah.
I move we pay our bills for a month.
We need roll call.
Kay Harrison.
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Jones,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yeah.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay.
Need a motion to close it.
I don't think we need a motion to go into executive session, just need to read the script. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Turn it to a mute.
Okay.